computer right now. We are recording this simply because we want to provide it to other parents who may be just as curious as you are about everything related to financial aid, scholarships, and the FAFSA. That's kind of a bad word, I think, right now for a lot of folks, but we'll make it a good word tonight. Again, my name is Diane Canny. I represent the Ohio State University tonight at Newark. Really super glad that you're here with us. And if you do know of parents who couldn't join us tonight, there will be a recording within a week on our website of this session. And there will be lots of other opportunities, of course, to learn about the Ohio State University at Newark. So with that, I'm going to jump in to the presentation here and invite you to sit back and relax and allow us to do the hard work here. And this is parent session number 1. There will be a parent session later in the spring. And it will not be the same as tonight. It will be different. So I encourage you to bookmark that. And I'll also show you the full schedule of virtual events for you and your student throughout the spring here. Let's start with Buckeye terminology. The one thing about the Ohio State University is we love our acronyms. And so I have a collection of them here, some of our favorites and some that you and your student may be navigating right now that I want to share with you and hopefully provide a little bit of knowledge regarding. So the first one, Buckeye Link versus Buckeye Mail. The best thing I can say about this one is Buckeye Link is the area we're going to go to do all kinds of business related to your students' enrollment at The Ohio State University. Once you go to My Buckeye Link, you will find there are lots of different sections for your student. In fact, some of the things listed on here we'll talk about in a minute are found on Buckeye Link. Buckeye Mail, one of the first things that you should do when you finish this webinar is to ask your student if they've activated and if they are daily or weekly reading their Buckeye Mail. After a student is admitted to the university, we use Buckeye Mail, that is your student's email account at Ohio State University. We use that email address to communicate important information about upcoming events, upcoming deadlines, scholarships, your student's future financial aid award. They'll get an alert in their Buckeye Mail. If you're interested in housing on our campus, they will get information sent to their Buckeye Mail about housing. It is crucial that your student not only activate it, but also read it. I like to say daily, maybe not daily, but certainly weekly. Also, Applicant Center versus Carmen. The Applicant Center is where your student will pay their acceptance fee. If they haven't been admitted yet, they can also check the status of their application at that Applicant Center as well. And then, of course, Carmen is more for later use. Number one, if your student is chosen to move forward in our merit-based scholarship program, they will use Carmen Canvas to actually write an essay for us for evaluation. And also later, they will perform or complete in a course in there related to orientation before they attend orientation. So it's like our online educational platform that Ohio State uses. That's in a nutshell what it is. Your students' to-do list will be something that will evolve as they are enrolling at the university. One item that will appear on your students' to-do list every semester as a student is the financial responsibility statement. That is a document that your student, it's very easy to complete. I think it's 4 check marks, but it's basically them taking really their commitment to repaying anything that the university would provide them in terms of loans and taking the responsibility of those items. And they do have to complete that financial responsibility statement prior to registering for classes each semester that they're a student at Ohio State. The application fee versus the acceptance fee. Your student has likely already paid the application fee. That's a $60 fee to apply. If they were not part of our free fee waiver for that application fee, then they did pay the $60. That's probably behind your student. And then the acceptance fee is to actually enroll. That is a $100 fee, and that allows your student to continue moving through the enrollment process at Ohio State. Really important to consider and truly do your very best to make sure you pay that acceptance fee before May the 1st, because there are a lot of benefits to doing so. Number one, and most importantly to a lot of people, is access to the coveted football tickets. If your student pays their acceptance fee to any campus of the Ohio State University by May the 1st, they are in that same lottery for those coveted football tickets as all students are. The other reason to pay your acceptance fee before May the 1st is to make sure that your student is invited to an early summer orientation. And that has its benefits because we simply have more courses available to your student at that time. The OSU ID versus name.number. The OSU ID for your student is typically sent to them in their, I believe it's not until they are accepted, and it is a 9-digit number. And it typically starts with 500 is the way it starts for your student. And so you want to make note of that. That is a document or a number that they will need to have. And then name.number is going to be part of their email address. For instance, my name.number is canny.24. And every student and employee at The Ohio State University has a name.number. And that's how their email address is actually developed. The Buckeye Opportunity Program is a wonderful opportunity for any family who qualifies for the federal Pell Grant. I'm sure that my colleague Faith Phillips, when she speaks tonight, I'm sure that she will mention the Buckeye Opportunity Program. It allows your student to enroll at any campus of Ohio State at a cost of $0. The university will pick up anything that federal Pell Grant doesn't pick up and doesn't pay for. And so some colleges and universities around Columbus like to promote a free education. Well, we also have that free education. It just does require the student to qualify for that federal Pell Grant. Now, great, and I'm so happy that so many of you are here tonight because there are important deadlines coming up. Number 8 on my list here is the Newark Campus Scholarships versus Scholarship Universe. I'm going to start first with Scholarship Universe, which you will find on my Buckeye link. You'll see a link to it there. Scholarship Universe is the university's scholarship finding tool for internal and external scholarships, both. And so that is, it's advantageous to make sure your student completes that by February 15th. That is a deadline for lots of scholarships on Scholarship Universe. In addition to that, we have the Newark campus has our own scholarships. And I know that Faith Phillips, our Director of Student Financial Services, will be talking about those, but some of those do require a separate application. Not really a heavy lift, not really a lot that needs to be done to complete those scholarship applications. It's just important that your student do so. Now, that deadline for the Newark-based scholarships isn't until March 15th. So you have a little bit more time to complete those. Pathways to a degree. I always like to talk about this because there is a lot of confusion for a lot of families about how they started Ohio State Newark and then finish their degree on the Columbus campus. Some parents and families don't even know that's a possibility. It's very, very easy to do that. What your student would do is obviously enroll on our campus, complete 30 credit hours after high school graduation. Those are important words there. Those credit hours must be earned after high school graduation. That typically takes a student 2 full-time semesters. We don't allow students to start in the summer because the summer at Ohio State begins before your student graduates high school and their accelerated semesters. It's not it's just not simply a good time for your student to enroll. So we're talking about fall semester or autumn semester and spring semester. They complete those 2 semesters, they achieve at least a 2-point GPA, and off they go to Columbus for autumn semester the coming year, if they so choose. They certainly do not have to transition because Ohio State Newark does have 8 majors for students to stay on our campus and complete. That campus change process is seamless for students. Two important things to know about this is number one, I know that you and your student, when you think about college, you have choices. Your student has choices. The benefit of enrolling at a regional campus like Ohio State-Newark is that your student is going to have Ohio State credits and an Ohio State grade point average, and no one can take that away from them. Once your student enrolls elsewhere, they immediately become a transfer student to Ohio State. Number one, there's no guarantee they're going to get in terms of admission. They will have to go through the application process again and pay the $60 application fee and go through a competitive admissions process for transfer students. So there are no guarantees. Once you're a student at Ohio State-Newark, you are a Buckeye from day one, and you simply pick up and campus change to the Columbus campus as long as you meet these requirements. So it really is a seamless transition. Oh, and something else that a lot of parents don't know is that you will have an Ohio State GPA. Once your student, or if your student goes to another institution and transfers to Ohio State, they actually come in and they have a 0.0 GPA. I think there's something to be said for that, for a student who enrolls at Ohio State and has Ohio State credits. And again, you get what you pay for that freshman year, and you actually have something to show from it because you actually have an Ohio State GPA and Ohio State credits both. Academics on our campus. Again, I mentioned this already. You can begin all of the Ohio State's 200 plus majors on our campus. Our campus is simply delivering Ohio State differently. We have small class sizes. We're very much wired like a small college campus. State-of-the-art technology, wonderful labs, a brand new science facility. This is one of our accomplished faculty members right here. This is Dr. Oz. We affectionately call her Dr. Oz. She and her students are trying to find a cure for cancer. So they're doing some really important work. Really proud of our campus in terms of the support that they have for student success. We have a math learning center. We have a writer's studio, a tutoring center. We are really equipped to help your students succeed on our campus and at The Ohio State University. And access to everything that is The Ohio State University in terms of resources. These are the majors that you can start and finish on our campus. There are 8 of them. I'll let you read through that list. And of course, any others that aren't on this list, you can start with us. And typically students need to stay on our campus for at least 2 semesters. And sometimes they can sneak out a 3rd or 4th semester, simply depending upon the major and how important it is that they get to Columbus to start that major. Our newest major, I do want to spend a few minutes talking about our brand new Bachelor of Science in Engineering Technology. You may have heard about this thing they call Intel that's coming into Licking County. It is a hot topic in Central Ohio, of course. And along with that is coming a lot of jobs. And our students are going to be very, very well equipped for those jobs, but also for jobs just simply in manufacturing around Licking County and Franklin County and across the state, of course. But this is a program that your student can start and finish on any of the regional campuses of Ohio State. And this program is not offered on the Columbus campus. So if your student is interested in the Bachelor of Science in Engineering Technology, they will finish this degree on our campus. It's this perfect blend of a student who really enjoys tinkering around and being an engineer and thinking like an engineer, but also has a leadership potential and leadership skills. And so you're looking for that perfect combination. And then our students will be so well equipped to also, again, work with engineers, but also lead a team of individuals through change in terms of manufacturing change and change in terms of corporate America, which in most cases means you're working on saving the company money. And that's very, very important. Here are some of the career paths that are available to students who graduate with this major. The first graduates of this program will happen this spring, not on the Newark campus. We just launched this program, but they will happen on another couple other campuses of the Ohio State University. So we're super excited to start following these students to see where their experience really takes them. But our students are going to be really well set up, I think, for getting lots of jobs in and around the state of Ohio, because we went out to industry partners years ago before we started thinking about this, and we asked them what they needed. And what they said was this is exactly who they needed. They didn't need more engineers, they needed students and professionals who could understand the work of an engineer, but also put it into practice and lead teams. So that's this perfect blend of having all the soft skills and analytical skills that you need, but also being able to understand that the true work of an engineer. So super excited about what this program is bringing to our campus. Commitment to affordability. If you know anything about Ohio State University, there's a real commitment to affordability. I'll show you first what it looks like for you and your student in terms of tuition and fees. This is the fall numbers for this fall. Of course, for next fall, at the time that your student would enroll, it will go up a little bit. But we are certainly a great bargain for a lot of students. And I like to always point out that, the tuition makes a lot of sense. The room and board for any campus student, or I should say any student at the Newark campus, it's going to vary depending on where your student lives. Do they live on campus? Do they live off campus in an apartment? There are plenty in the area for your student to consider. Or are they simply commuting from home and paying you or doing chores? And so that can certainly be a much cheaper option for a lot of students. The affordability initiatives, this is university-wide, and so thankful that we have these in place for you and your student. The 4-year tuition guarantee, it locks in your student's tuition for 4 years at that campus. So if they start with us next year, and just for conversation, let's say that tuition is $9,500 next year, they'll pay $9,500 for their time on our campus up to 4 years. If they do transition to Columbus, keep in mind there was a cohort of students when your student started at Ohio State-Newark that started on the Columbus campus, and let's say again for conversation, they were paying $14,000 a year. Your student, when they transition, will pay what that starting cohort is now paying. I know that can be really confusing, but we'll help you navigate that too as you go through the Ohio State process. I've already mentioned the Buckeye Opportunity Program. Again, for students and families who qualify for the federal Pell Grant, Ohio State picks up the cost of tuition and mandatory fees, and so you and your student would need to not pay anything. President's affordability grants are in place, and those award $2,000 for students who qualify, and that's just based on family income. Scholarships are, of course, at Ohio State University, because we have 6 campuses. They are campus specific. That is something that surprises a lot of families. So you want to make sure that you're really in tune with the campus that your student is enrolling at and what opportunities are available to them there. We do have merit-based scholarships and special scholarships available. I'll let Faith Phillips talk about those here in a minute. And of course, submitting the FAFSA by February 15th is advantageous. And then, of course, completing those scholarships in Scholarship Universe by February 15th is also advantageous for your student. And with that, I will turn things over here for a few minutes to Faith Phillips, and I will come in right after she's finished, and I will wrap us up for this evening, and we'll certainly take your questions. I should have mentioned earlier, I think it's great that you're all here, and we welcome your questions. I invite and encourage you to listen through and kind of take in everything that Faith is going to share with you too. And then we will stay around afterwards to answer any questions you might have. So Faith Phillips, Director of Student Financial Services, the floor is yours.
Hi, great. Thank you, Diane. Welcome, everyone. So glad that you were able to join us this evening. As Diane said, I'm here to talk to you a little bit about the financial aid process and then expand a little bit more on the scholarship process. So let's first of all start talking about the FAFSA, that free application for federal student aid. It is available now at studentaid.gov. If you as a parent are new to this process, then the pains that I'm feeling right now, you may not be feeling as much, but if you have done this in the past, for prior students and you've started the FAFSA for another student, you'll understand that we've had some major overhauls of the FAFSA process. And we in the Student Financial Services Office, we in all of the financial aid offices across America are still trying to get our heads around some of these changes that federal student aid implemented as a result of the Simplification Act. And, at the end of the day, it's going to all work out. It's all going to be great, but we are experiencing some pains in this process. But the FAFSA did go live at the end of December. It is available at studentaid.gov. I'm not going to go through all of the details because it could be another presentation in and of itself, but a couple things I do want to say about the FAFSA right now is federal student aid, when they launched it at the end of December, they did what is called a soft launch for the whole month of January. So there may be points in time where you think, okay, now is the best time for me to sit down and complete the FAFSA, and you may not be able to get into it. It has nothing to do with you. It has to do with federal student aid is occasionally taking the FAFSA down. If it gets bogged down, there's an issue. They've just been taking it out at random points. And there's no rhyme or reason in our way to say to you, now is a good time, now is a bad time. We had a student family come in yesterday at 10 a.m. we thought would be a great time, and the FAFSA had been taken down. So don't panic if you go out there to work on the FAFSA and they have a little note up there that says, that they will take it down randomly. And if the start here button is not grayed or is not blue, I believe, in order to click to start it, just give it some time, go back in a couple hours later and give it a shot. So they have told us that they will be taking it down throughout the month of January. But everyone, regardless of family income, I encourage you to submit the FAFSA form each year and do it by our priority date, which this year only is February the 15th. And we extended our due date to the 15th because of the delays in implementing the new FAFSA. I do anticipate that next year, the FAFSA should go live this October of 24 for the next year's FAFSA. And I do anticipate that our priority date will go back to February 1st. And I don't want to get too bogged down in dates and all of that, but I do want to just say that this year, you have until February 15th for OSU to get your FAFSA submitted by in order to maximize your aid eligibility and to ensure that we can get a financial aid offer out to you as soon as possible. Our goal is always to do freshman offers first because we know that students are trying to make enrollment decisions, and we absolutely want you to see that financial aid offer that Ohio State is going to offer to you. And so our target will be to get freshman offers out as quickly as possible. With this delay in releasing the FAFSA, federal student aid has told us that there will be a delay in processing FAFSA applications and submitting them to the colleges, and they will not start releasing FAFSAs until the end of January, beginning of February. So if you've already submitted your FAFSA form or you do it here in the next few days, don't expect to hear anything from OSU until sometime in early March. So when the FAFSAs are processed, OSU will start to receive them, we'll start to bring them in. And the first thing that we're going to do is look to see, do any of these applications need additional information submitted by the student and the parent? And we will populate those items in your to-do list on Buckeye Link. And again, we won't start doing that process until probably mid-February until we start to receive those FAFSA forms. Going back and stressing why every family should submit the FAFSA each year, regardless of family income. Even if the family does not have income that would make them eligible for any of the federal or state or even Ohio State grants, we here at Ohio State-Newark have several scholarship opportunities where the donors have requested that recipients demonstrate some form of financial need. And in order for us to assess a student's financial need, we must have a FAFSA on file. So you may know off the bat your student may not qualify for a Pell Grant and may not qualify for any state financial assistance. But by not submitting a FAFSA, you may miss out on an opportunity for institutional aid. And do that FAFSA every single year. That process repeats itself every year. So our scholarships do not always go to the student that has that lowest student aid index, which is the result of the FAFSA form, or the student that demonstrates the highest financial need. We tend to award our scholarships and institutional aid to the students that are just beyond the eligibility for the federal and state financial assistance. That way, we are grabbing those students that, in our definition, have the greatest financial need because they're not eligible for those federal and state grants. So please don't miss out on any opportunity for free financial assistance simply by choosing not to submit that FAFSA form. The FAFSA form is also the application that students must submit in order to be considered for that President's Affordability Grant that Diane mentioned, as well as the Buckeye Affordability Grant. So we must be able to see what the student's aid eligibility is in order to determine if they're eligible for Buckeye Affordability Grant and or that President's Affordability Grant. And you'll miss out on those opportunities if you haven't submitted a FAFSA form. And as Diane mentioned, that Buckeye Affordability Grant is OSU's guarantee that a student's tuition and general fees will be 100% covered if they are federal Pell Grant eligible. So the federal Pell Grant, when a student is eligible for it, the amount ranges, and it could range, let's say, from $3,800 per semester to maybe $400 per semester. Well, $3,800 doesn't cover all of the tuition and fees at Ohio State. So if a student was eligible for a Pell Grant, that Buckeye Affordability Grant would kick in the rest of that amount to cover a student's tuition and general fees. So again, I cannot stress enough, submitting that FAFSA form, making sure that it is submitted by the financial aid priority date of February 15th. I prefer to use the term priority date. Many schools call it a deadline date, but you can submit the FAFSA actually for the entire academic year that the student is enrolled. We set this priority date because we have these institutional funds that go to the students that have the eligibility and meet that priority date. Plus, we want to get especially incoming freshmen to get that FAFSA done by that date. So again, we can get those aid offers out as soon as possible. All right, so let's talk a little bit more about scholarships at Ohio State-Newark. We are so proud to be able to say that we have offered over $1 million in scholarship each year for the last few years, and that will continue in perpetuity based on the generous donations of the community members who donated to our scholarship fund. Most of our scholarships do not require the student to take any other action than being admitted, and in many cases, submitting the FAFSA form. So what that means is when we start to award our institutional scholarships after the middle of May, beginning of April, for those scholarships that do not require an application, I will begin to look at students based on in GPA order, and then I will be looking at the scholarship criteria that the donors have set. So if the donor has set a certain GPA criteria, plus the student has to be in a certain major, the student doesn't have to complete an application for those scholarships because I am able to extract from our system the student's GPA and the student's major. So the only scholarships that we have that require an application are because the donors have set criteria that we aren't able to extract from our student management system. So 90% of our scholarships are awarded automatically, and the student doesn't have to submit an application. Those scholarships that do require an application, they are available. Most of them are available now. The rest of them will be available within the next week. And the due date for those will be March the 15th, as Diane had mentioned. So those that require an application, the student will go in, complete the application, submit it to our office, and do that by March 15th. And then they'll be in the pool with the rest of the scholarships that don't require an application. And the applications are available at go.osu.edu/Newark scholarships. We also have a very generous incoming freshman merit scholarship. The scholarship is valued at $4,000 for the year. It is renewable for a second year as long as the student maintains enrollment at the Newark campus and has a 3.5 cumulative GPA by the end of their first year at Newark, and that they have completed at least 30 credit hours so that they are moving to the sophomore status. And again, that is a renewable for one additional year on the Newark campus. The basic criteria for that freshman merit scholarship is having a 3.6 cumulative high school GPA on a 4.0 scale, successful completion of at least 2 advanced placement or 2 college credit plus courses before their high school graduation. And there is an application for that, and that application is available on that same website under merit freshman. I believe it says income freshman merit scholarship, and there's a link where the student would apply for that. Funding is limited for that scholarship and will be awarded until funds are exhausted. So that, as I said, that application is available. So students who meet that basic criteria right there should get on as soon as possible and submit that application to be considered for that $4,000 scholarship that is renewable for a second year at the Newark campus. And again, take a look at our website so that you do not miss out on the many scholarship opportunities that require an application. These are just a couple examples that many students would be eligible to apply for. So let's take the Binkovitz and Lackey Klein scholarship. This is a scholarship that typically values at about $1,500 to $2,000 for the year. And all the applicant has to do is write an essay about the Holocaust and submit it with a cover application. That's the only criteria. In some years, I will receive 5 applications. Some years I receive 20 applications. So the competition may not be that strong depending on how many applicants there are. So it would be silly for a student to miss that application process. Then there's the Park National Bank and Associates Next Generation Challenge Scholarship honoring William T. and Jane Cook McConnell. This scholarship is for any student that is in a county where Park National Bank has a presence, and the counties are all listed on the application. And then they have to write a short essay and submit it. So many of our students should be submitting an application for that scholarship. There's no GPA component, and I'm pretty sure there's no financial need component. So every student that lives in one of those counties should be applying for that scholarship. But there's about 15 applications of scholarships that require the student to actually complete an application. This is just a sample of those, but don't miss out on those opportunities for those additional scholarships to, again, continue to maximize a student's financial assistance at the OSU-Newark campus. So scholarship recipients for Ohio State Newark scholarships are sent an offer email to their OSU email account. So I don't mail scholarship offers to the student's home mail. I send it to their OSU email account. So it is so important that students activate that OSU email account and check it on a regular basis. Because when that scholarship offer is sent, and then I give a screenshot of what that email will look like, because some students will get that email and they'll see in there that it's coming from mail.awardspring.com. AwardSpring is just the portal that I use to send those scholarship offers out to students. It will also have the Ohio State University-Newark campus, and it will also have my name in the email information. But I don't want students to miss out on that opportunity because they think that it might be junk mail. Or students should be consistently checking their junk mail folder for emails such as this that may go into their junk and they would miss the opportunity. So when I begin the financial aid, or excuse me, the scholarship offer process, I will generate emails, and usually with the first round, I give the students between 2 and 3 weeks to respond by submitting a donor thank you letter. And they submit that through that AwardSpring portal. If I don't hear from that student, then I will mark them as unawarded, and I will go on to the next student. So again, stress to students to be checking that email all summer long, because I am making scholarship offers all the way up and through the first part of the semester. As a matter of fact, I'm awarding them all year as students decline or accept and don't attend. So I'm constantly doing scholarship offers. So they should be constantly checking that scholarship, or excuse me, their OSU email, as well as that junk email. So make sure that students know not to disregard these emails and consider them junk. And when in doubt, always ask. So I love when a student emails us and says, we received this email. Is this scholarship offer a real thing that we should take advantage of? And again, the only thing that the student has to do once they've been sent an offer is submit a letter of thanks to the donor. And then, as Diane mentioned, we have Columbus campus awarded scholarships. And the student applies for those scholarships by going through Scholarship Universe, which is available via Buckeye Link. And the priority due date for those are February the 15th. And that is a hard cutoff for OSU scholarships. But Scholarship Universe is more than just an application process for Columbus awarded scholarships. And I say Columbus awarded but there are some that are awarded by Columbus for OSU-Newark students. So it gets a little bit confusing. But in addition to Scholarship Universe being the hub of all of the Columbus campus awarded scholarships, Scholarship Universe is a overall scholarship application process where students are also applying for scholarships that aren't even connected to Ohio State. So Scholarship Universe is constantly looking for scholarships out there that match the students' criteria and awarding the students scholarships that aren't even connected to Ohio State University. So students may apply as soon as they have their OSU ID and their Ohio State username, so that last name dot number. Incoming students who do not yet have a name dot number should just follow the instructions that are found on Buckeye link or at this link that is provided here. All right, I'm going to turn it back over to Diane. I will stay on to see if there are any additional questions about the financial aid or scholarship process. And Diane, back over to you.
Great. Thank you, Faith. Bear with me just a minute here. I always am challenged by getting my camera back on. Oh, shoot. Sorry about that. There we go. Okay. I want to wrap up by sharing a few items here for parents to help their students navigate. This slide here highlights some of the most important dates for your student coming up, and you can see there are quite a few. I'll pause here and allow you time to take a picture of this if you'd like to. We've talked through most of these during our session tonight. Obviously, our first parent session this evening was really focused on the financial side of paying for college. Deadlines here include as much scholarship deadlines that Faith and I have already explained to you, but we also include here some other opportunities. For instance, your student should consider applying for a learning community. A learning community is a great way to go to college and immediately have a group of friends, maybe not friends, but at least peers, and we hope they become friends that share a common thread or a common interest. For instance, perhaps they're all first-generation college students, or they all want to major in education or engineering. And we are proud to say that we have 6 learning communities for your student to choose from. Strongly encourage your student to apply for one of those, and they can only apply for one at a time. And then we also have the Ohio Means Science Scholarship for students interested in pursuing a major in the STEM field, and that is an amazing opportunity. Those are high dollar scholarships, $10,000 scholarships per year for your student. And there is an application process, and that application is due April the 19th. And then you throw in April 15th. There's a lot of things that come due for your student in April. And April 15th is not only on-campus housing deadline, but also the deadline for our honors program, should your student want to apply for that, and the Lefevre Fellows program. And that is a program for students who already have an interest and also a passion in community service or service learning. If they want to continue that with us, they can apply to be a Lefevre Fellow, and of course, there's a financial benefit to doing so. Buckeye Visit Days, if you and your student have not been to campus, we would love to see you on campus. Our next Buckeye Visit Day is a week from tomorrow, Friday, January 26th. And I looked ahead at the weather today, and it looks pretty good. It definitely looks better than tomorrow's weather. So we hope that you'll pick out one of these dates and come to campus to join us. I think you'll find it very, very there's an amazing overview, and there's an amazing energy about these Buckeye Visit Days that I think is very helpful to you and your student as you explore colleges and universities this spring. So pick out a date, and you can register at that link that we have there. Of course, like I said, tonight's virtual session is kicking off a full slate of virtual events for Ohio State-Newark. So we hope that you'll join us again. These obviously are a particular, I should say, a particular focus each time we get together. Tonight was a parent session. We'll do that again in April, but it'll be different than tonight's session. In April, we're going to talk more about orientation and academic advising and getting your student ready for that. But of course, if you or your student have interest in learning more about learning communities or any of the other topics here, we invite you to join us. And yes, it does say register after December 1st. All of those items are on our website and they all are live now. Here are some other important links for you to consider just bookmarking and coming back to. The applicant page is something, both the applicant page and the admitted student page are updated. The admitted student page and also the parent page will be updated with recordings. For instance, of events like this, we will post those recordings out there on the web for you to reference at a later time. Have more questions, you will get a response from us. I know I can speak for Faith. Her team is great about responding to phone calls or emails, and I know that my team is as well. We're here to help you navigate this college thing, and sometimes it can be overwhelming. And I hope that tonight this session has been helpful to you, and I hope that you'll continue to learn more about Ohio State Newark. I want to give a plug here for our social media. We do a great job of having some fun out there. We're even on TikTok now, and we're doing some great things. I know there's a member of our team, Kelsey Heasley, that manages and does some things on Instagram for us, and also is involved in TikTok. And also there is a parent Facebook group. So once your student is accepted to Ohio State Newark, you can, if you go on to Facebook and you complete the membership questions, you must complete the membership questions, give us your student's information, and then we will accept you into that group. And that's just a great way to ask parent-to-parent questions. And with that, I will say thank you, but I'm also going to invite my colleague, B. Gerchak from the admissions office. B's been with us all night behind the scenes, and she's been fielding some of your questions. B, were there any questions that you would like to answer live with Faith or myself?
So far, everything looks good. Faith has been answering questions about the FAFSA. But if people are more comfortable typing them in the chat, I will stay a bit longer to answer those.
Super. Great. Well, we always say that we are conscious of your time, and I hope that tonight's session was productive and helpful to you. And yes, we will remain online here for a few minutes while you consider asking a question. And of course, if you don't want to ask a question tonight, you can always call or email us in the future. But with that, I'll say thank you. Thank you, Faith, for joining us tonight. And thank you to all the parents who joined us. And we certainly look forward to seeing you in person. Good night and go Bucks.